Side Effects has released the preview for Houdini 21. So let's take a look at what all is in the preview, because there is quite a bit and it is pretty interesting what all they have showed us. So let's jump up here. The first thing we have here is Otis, so a GPU accelerated organic tissue solver. So pretty interesting look here. This is got some really good deformation of the muscles. I'm not really sure that I'm going to use it all that much, at least not right now, but definitely something that looks to be like a lot of fun for those that use the muscle system inside Houdini. There's also this example with this human here, and something that I wanted to point out is this next section right here, where we have some different sliders and stuff for some different things, so you can control like the mesh quality and stuff like that. So there's some different sliders here that you can set up. Looks like pretty powerful stuff. Then we have this muscle transfer. So you can transfer your muscles to different meshes. So this is something that we saw with the motion retargeting. So it looks like this is similar to that in the sense that you can retarget your muscles you go from this really small character to this much larger character. So I'd be interested to see how that actually works. But again, I don't play with muscles all that much, so not something that I'm going to play around with a ton. There's also this topo slide, so this curve deformer basically for your muscles, so you can use that to kind of control where your muscles are at. We've got skin deformation for those, skin sliding all over the muscles. Again, you need to have everything set up for this, so your muscles, your tissue, everything, skin, your bones, all inside of there. There's a lot that goes into the muscle sims. And there's this really awesome animation. This is all new NPM stuff. So a lot of stuff, really great animation by Peter Sinatra, I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. NPM, there's a lot of new stuff with NPM inside of this. It's a really awesome animation here. They jump to a bunch of different things. It just kind of keeps going. So we've got some different fluids mixing in there. Then we switch over to having this whipped cream being placed on top. So we've got some continuous emission for this NPM source. I haven't played around with NPM really yet, but I know that there's a lot of people that have, and there's a lot of really interesting things that have been made with it. So looks like some really awesome stuff to be added to NPM. Then we've got this neural point surface. So this is pretty cool. This is going to be basically a fluid mesher that's got the neural, so like the machine learning going into it. So it should be probably pretty quick. And I think that they're going to have some stuff where you can train your models, but they also have like pre-trained models as well. So you can see what we have here in this little back and forth. Pretty nice looking mesh. And again, this is just another example. So on the left, we have reference, and on the right, we have this neural mesh. NPM surface tension. So some surface tension going on with NPM. I guess this wasn't a thing before, but now you have the ability to add some surface tension. Looks really cool on this car. I'm going to go ahead and play that. You can see it really sliding off really nicely on this car. It's really cool stuff there. And we've got some meshing here. So again, NPM updates. So we have the ability to preserve UVs now. We have an NPM debris source for your secondary sim. So secondary stuff coming off of here with the stuff breaking off, the points breaking off and things like that. Auto sleep control for particles for optimization purposes. This one is pretty cool. I thought we have NPM post-fracture and deform pieces. So here this looks like we have a model that we are going to be able to have fractured based off of the NPM, and then we're going to be able to transfer that to some final geo, some final renderable geo. Got a couple different examples of this. So we've got this train here. This one's pretty cool as well. All really, really awesome animations, really well done visuals with this. So interesting stuff for NPM. I'm going to have to take a look at that at some point. Just haven't got around to it yet. We have this RBD car fracture, so it does what it says it does. It's going to fracture your cars, so you have different things that you can set up, different pieces and types of materials that it's going to just kind of work on and You can see kind of the results of this. A really, again, awesome animation here. We can see the cars slamming together. Then we've got some new stuff that I'm really excited about, which is Cops. So Cops is going to be one of the major things. It looks like NPM and Cops were kind of the focus of this update, and Cops has got a ton of love. So here we have Height Field Erode 3.0. I'm going to go ahead and press play here, and you can see we have this new erosion, which I don't know if you just caught that, but this happens in real time. So if I press play here, you can't really see it, but I blew the video up and took a look down in this bottom left down here. You can watch this cook. And then you can see it, happening from where he selects that node to when it pops through. You see it fully cook there. So that is really, really fast to get this level of erosion. It was not super slow before. I'd be interested to see kind of where this height field is at as far as resolution, but the erosion is all working off of Cops now. So this is Height Field Erode 3.0. So this erosion got a major upgrade as far as speed, it looks like, and it looks pretty decent, I'm not going to lie. So it looks like there's going to be a lot of new solver type stuff coming to Cops, and we'll see more of that kind of later on here. Then we have this height field terracing example, which looks really cool. Lots of stuff here. So they're using quite a bit of Cops, it looks like, to generate the actual mesh, the landscape mesh here. So you can see that's actually what it says is we're using Cops for this environment building or the landscape generation. And honestly, it wasn't too bad for it before, but hopefully they've added some new things to it that allow it to work just a little bit better. We've got some new noises. Well, actually, there's a few new noises. Phaser noise is just one of them. So you can see that we have this wave pattern generation. At the end, they list a bunch of different noises that you can see kind of in the scrolling stuff. We'll probably look at that later, but you can see that there's different noises. Then we have a Cops bakers. So this is like the material map bakers that you need for your game engines and stuff, or just optimizing your scenes. So we can bake our own meshes, it looks like, or our own maps inside of Cops. We have Houdini engine support for Cops as well. So anybody that's working inside of Houdini engine, inside of Unreal or something, I'm sure this is going to be very nice to see. This is something that is super important, something that I think was missing from 20.5 that we're getting quite a few of now, which is some extra noise patterns or grunge maps. So I'm going to go ahead and read what all these are because it's going to be kind of hard, but you can see the names of them here. So we've got bullet marks. So I think this is going top left kind of to the bottom right here. Bullet marks, ceramics, some word that I can't pronounce, crocolure or something like that. Then we have crocolure damages. We have forged metal, leaks, rust, multi-terrain generator. So again, tying back into terrain generation with Cops. Sounds like that's going to be something that we've got added. We have rust mask, drips, wood young tree, wood bark pine, scratches rough, traces lichen, wood bark, and wood bark crackling, which brings me to this next one, which is some trees, which is super awesome, or some bark generation inside of Cops. So we also, it looks like we maybe have some pre-built materials or a pre-built material library that SideFX is going to kind of ship with 21. So we've got these different materials. So like a lava noise, or a lava texture. We've got some different things here. We've got some other ones here. Maybe these aren't actually going to be included with 21, and they're just showing what you can do with the material presets and the grunges. Again, these are by this artist right here. Super, super nice materials that we got going here. We've got this cop bubble noise. I'm going to go ahead and play this. I don't really know what this is based off of this graphic. I don't know if it's the bubbles kind of flying around in here. I'm really not sure. kind of what that is. But we'll have to take a look at it. We have the Vulkan viewport enhancements. So we have some Gaussian splatting stuff. I know a lot of people are jumping into Gaussian splatting. Not really something that I'm super interested in at the moment, but for those that are, I'm sure that's going to be super awesome. So here we have geometry lights. So we can use this. I think this is Solaris based. And if you look at the actual like scrolling text at the end of the video, one of the things for Solaris listed is basically this, I believe. So I thought we already had this, but I guess not. Really nice. I'm going to actually play through this. The second animation is super, super sick. We have this nice portal kind of effect going on. So different geometry lights that are available inside of Solaris now. We have Primvar-driven texture maps in Solaris. That's something that you could do previously. I don't believe you could kind of hack it, but it wasn't anything like this, from my understanding. We have this fur shader, which looks super nice. I have not played around with this at all. Karma fur shader, or any sort of like hair generation is what I mean by that. So I'm sure that this will be super awesome for those that play around with it. Looks like dirt and wetness controls. This bear looks really awesome. Really nice simulation here. This looks really cool. So I've been diving into Apex a little bit as far as like, okay, let me rephrase that. I haven't dove into Apex very much at all, but I've started to like research a little bit on it because it looks pretty interesting. And Matt Estella had a super awesome talk on it recently, and I got intrigued by it. So this looks super cool. So it looks like we have a number of different like components down here that we can use to build out different rigs for characters. And this looks like exactly what he's doing. He's just maybe like adding in these different rig components, and then they're just being brought in and pretty much working just by default. We have a custom facial rig, I guess, probably coming to Apex. And we have look at constraints. This is kind of cool. I think this is all Apex related stuff. I could be wrong, but this looks like all just Apex related. This looks super, super cool, and it looks like it's going to be coming to more than just Apex. So there's an Apex motion mixer, which is what we're seeing down here in the bottom of the screen. So you can basically use like animation type clips. This is kind of like a new, almost like a new kind of like animation editor, basically, that allows you to kind of move around your animations and retime them and make sure that everything is, lining up properly, swapping between animations, things like that. And then it looks like this same sort of thing is coming to the sculpt toolset. So we have shot sculpt, which allows you to kind of sculpt on a per shot basis, looks like. And again, we have these little layered things down here, which maybe this already exists. I don't know, but Houdini is such a large program. I may have just missed it, but it looks like we have that similar type of setup as we have with that NLE for the motion mixing. So here we have armature deform. So this is using machine learning. This looks pretty cool. Looks like you have the ability to get some nice machine learning armature type stuff going on, or some deformation going on. So you have your bone deformation, and you've got this machine learning one that seems to work pretty well. We have pyro thrusters. So these are looks like a tool for generating pyro thrusters, but it doesn't require a sim. So it sounds like some sort of like a recipe or a preset or something like that. Which, speaking of recipes, we also have some different pyro shelf tools. So lots of new stuff here, lots of explosions and smoke and different things. We have had a bunch of these before, but looks like they're getting updated to work with the SOP toolset, which I guess maybe they didn't have before. Now we also have a machine learning volume upres, which, to be honest with you, I'm not sure how I feel about this. Based off of what they showed, I don't know. I'll play it here. I mean, it definitely gets up-res, but I'm not sure how I feel about how it looks. I don't know. It'll have to be played around with, I guess. But leading into that, you also have the ability to train your own machine learning, algorithms and stuff inside of Houdini with this. So they show some examples here. This one's pretty cool. This one turned out really well, I believe. Just some interesting stuff all around with that. Then we have this COP Sparse Pyro 3D. So this confuses me a little bit because Copernicus is a 2D system, but this is a 3D solver that's inside of Copernicus. So you can see that we're getting some fire tornado type stuff here. This is all running inside of Copernicus, maybe? I don't know. This kind of confuses me a little bit, but it looks really good. So we have that. We also have a new solver, so some new solver type stuff coming to Copernicus, which I covered how to do that in 20.5 somewhat, but looks like this is some native stuff, which is always going to be welcome. We've got some really awesome animations that they show off with this. So this is a 2D fluid solver. Really, really cool stuff going on here. We have a reaction diffusion solver. So we can get some reaction diffusion going on inside of Copernicus. Always nice to see these types of things implemented, make it easier for some people that don't want to implement themselves. We also have a COP layer from Curve, so some Curve tools coming to COPs. One thing that I want to point out here, which I think is super cool, is towards the end, right here. So you can see we have them pop, these curves are drawn on top of this back curve here. And then they use 3D handles in the viewport inside of COPs, it looks like, maybe, to drag them in front of or place them, where they want. The second one actually goes behind. They move it behind. I don't know what happened to it. The first one is behind. The second one, they move in front of this curve. So I guess we're going to have 3D viewport handles for some certain things inside of Copernicus, maybe. We also have this COP scatter on curve, which looks super cool as well. So they're using it to generate a chain link here, but it's also going to be useful for some other things. And it looks like it leads into this COP rasterized curves and scatter shapes, which they use to generate this texture. Then they have all of the different things inside of the end credits. And I'm going to just take a look at some of them that I think are going to be kind of interesting for me. So we've got some different geometry tools. So just kind of skimming through these. We have some powerful shot sculpting tool sets. We saw that. So the elastic, deform, plow, and planar sculpt brushes. So some new brushes coming to the sculpting tool set. Some different things for that. Ability to extract geometry contours procedurally. That intrigues me a little bit because maybe we can use that to generate like the curves for like driving the remesh node that was introduced, I think, in Houdini 20. Hopefully that one's got some updates as well. Improved paint SOP performance, enhanced texture mask paint with support for UDIMs, alpha, and mask flattening. So this actually intrigues me quite a bit because that makes me wonder if COPS isn't going to be usable for UDIMs. Hopefully it is. I think that, again, was something that was definitely majorly missing from 20.5 that I would really like to see in 21. Let's see. So I'll just kind of scroll through here. You can kind of take a look here, pause the video if you need to. Let's see. COP-powered hydraulic terrain erosion. We saw that. Erosion sediment option to output erosion sediment flow and debris. Neural brush-based terrain generation with models and content libraries. So it sounds like there's going to be some ability to use machine learning maybe with terrain, which is pretty cool. So there's also some updates to pyro stuff. We saw some of that. Ooh, the bullet solver got updated. That's cool. NPM, there's a lot of things here. It kind of fades out here. You can see at SIGGRAPH, they're going to be generating a lot of stuff around Houdini 21. And there's a list that's floating around out there that has like the time frames and everything. Definitely take a look at that. We can't really see too much going on here. You can see there's some updates to Solaris. This is where I found that some of this is kind of readable. Render region support and render gallery, enhanced render control from the render gallery. Different things in here. So you can try to kind of read them if you want, but this says geometry light lop to, I don't know, I can earn geometry primitives into light, turn geometry primitives into light. So that's again what we were talking about with what they showed off earlier with the geometry lights, the curves, and all that stuff. I'm going to kind of scroll through this. So Karma CPU and XPU, there's some updates to that. You can see there's going to be some stuff for OpenPBR. There's going to be Hydra 2 support, I guess, which would be the Hydra delegate, basically how everything links into USD. There's also enhanced like parity between CPU and XPU. Another thing that I wanted to point out, I don't know where it's at in this, but there is some stuff in here about faster XPU like loading basically, which I thought was really cool. Oh, maybe it'll be down here. Yeah, here it is. So the CPU, GPU accelerated texture baker, we saw that. High quality, non-photorealistic outline generation for CPU. XPU, precompiled render kernels for faster startup. So that's nice. Optimized compilation of user-defined shaders, volumetric light support, all this different stuff for XPU, which I think is definitely needed. XPU definitely needed a little bit of love here. It's not that it was awful, but it needed some things, specifically like that faster initialization to come in. So hopefully that'll be a lot faster. Ability to select specific Intel, Embry, and optics devices. That's nice. So you can disable and enable things. I have a thing for that, an HDA for that, but it'll be nice to have that just built in for everyone. Ability to blend up to 16 Material X standard surfaces. I did not see that when I was running through this. That is really, really nice. That's going to be awesome. So that'll bring us a little bit closer to CPU as far as like material layering. That's awesome. I'm really glad that they brought that in. Hopefully it works the way I'm thinking. We got some UI stuff. You can, again, pause this and take a look and read through all this if you're interested. PDG and tops got a little bit of love. Houdini engine talked about, got some love. Side Effects Labs has some new stuff. Vulkan viewport, OpenPBR shader support. I thought we already had that. Maybe we didn't. Yeah, different stuff for the Vulkan viewport. Definitely needed some love on that as well. Hopefully its performance is a little bit better. I know there were some things that just didn't work super well. Then we have all the cop stuff. So interesting stuff here. Production ready for use for everything except for advanced compositing. That's kind of cool, but I'd like to see some compositing stuff in there as well. I know that there's people that have done some really awesome stuff with that. So we've got that ray traced geometry texture baker. We saw live USD rendering directly into cops. I'm intrigued as to what that means. Possibly we're going to be able to see, directly in cops what we're going to have our final model look like instead of having to like pin stuff and load in shaders and all that stuff. Hopefully it just is directly in cops and we can look at it there on like the preview material and render like through Karma or whatever. That'd be really nice. Real-time capturing and processing of live video. Not sure what that is going to mean, but I'm intrigued. VDD volume rasterization. That's kind of cool. We also have these new noises that I was talking about. Chladni, Phaser, Bubble, Cloud 3D, Crystal. So enhancements to the Whirly 3D and Fractal 3D. Grunge patterns, all very, very nice to see. Tiled, Mosaic, and Escher style pattern generation with hyperbolic functions. More tile stuff sounds like. Color correct. That's nice to see that we got some color correction stuff. Defocus, wipe. So that's actually huge. Wipe being able to kind of, just wipe back and forth between your before and after. That's super nice. Definitely something that's needed for the compositing side of things as well. Deformation nodes. So we've got lattice, bend, corner pin. Again, that's another compositing thing. Swirl, pretty cool. Layer sampling, 2D tiling support, halftone dithering, different stuff here. Curve 3D, we saw that. Heat distortion and lens distortion nodes. That'll be nice for some compositing stuff as well. Triplanar UV node to generate UV coordinates for XYZ projections. So sounds like we're going to have a built-in triplanar UV node, which would be super awesome. Also a triplanar hex tiling to get some hex tiling with the triplanar projection. That's really awesome as well. Definitely something that was needed as well for Copernicus. Fetch node. Oh, fetch node to bring outputs of a remote cop. Oh, into the, that's not what I thought it was. Yeah, geometry spreadsheet support. That's interesting. I wonder how that's going to work. Improved height field importing. Again, we talked about all the height field stuff. Let's see. Anything else that catches my eye here? Texture, mask paint. Faster playback, more comprehensive handling of UDIMs. That's really what I was looking for. So it looks like that will actually end up coming to COPS' UDIM support. So hopefully it is something that actually works well, because it was definitely something that didn't really work very well in 20.5. It's hard to kind of work through it all. And again, this new 3D sparse pyro solver for fire and smoke, native to Copernicus and accessible elsewhere in Houdini. I don't know what that means, but I do know that like Apex kind of ties in everything else into itself, and you can also kind of like use it elsewhere. Sounds like Copernicus is kind of going to be that as well. I'm interested to see kind of what this means and where they take this. So I don't know if we're going to get faster, solvers for other things inside of that are like native to Copernicus, and how that all works. I don't know. It's really interesting what they're saying with that. So that is going to kind of wrap it up. Again, just pause the video and look through this if you want to go through the different things that are available inside of Copernicus, and that way it's a little bit easier for you. It's not moving so fast, but lots of really awesome stuff inside of Houdini 21. Lots of things coming to Copernicus, lots of stuff for NPM. Again, it's a Houdini update, so there's 10 million things. It's coming out faster than we can even learn it in most cases. So it's really awesome to see, and shout out to Side Effects for having another update that I'm sure is going to be super, super awesome. So more information at SIGGRAPH, sounds like, and then we're looking at most likely end of August, early September type of release. So we'll see. But anyways, I will be posting more videos on that as soon as it's all out. So stay tuned for any of that stuff. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of that information. And we'll be covering as much as we can, as quick as we can once it comes out. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and have a good day.